Okay, so to know how each coin is performing, just click on that particular coin to bring out the various parameters concerning that coin, the current price, the average price at which you bought it, your average cost price, the total amount of USDT already committed to that coin, the amount of USDT of that coin that has been bought, how many units of that coin the robot is currently holding for you in that sense. And the numbers of call margin refers to the number of times the robot has bought again, not the total number of times it has bought, but apart from the first buy, the number of times it has bought again. And then the current percentage loss. But on the initial page, you see the current loss in USDT, where it's written profit. For example, minus 10.5126 USDT on Algo. Okay, then you can also see the current call margin trigger price. That means the next price at which it's expected to buy some more coins. Currently, the coin Algo is 1.4268 USDT. If it drops to 1.2694, it's going to buy some more. If it rises to 1.8082, it's going to sell everything. Average cost price 1.79. And of course, my take profit percentage or ratio is 1%. So that's why it's planning to sell at 1.8082 and above. They can also look at the transaction record and see how many times it has bought and sold. You can open each one and see the details under it. In the log too, you can see something a bit similar and see some of the details under each of those trades. By clicking on strategy mode, you can switch between whole warehouse mode and sub-bin mode. Sub-bin mode is where after the first 4 buys, the robot begins to treat each subsequent buy. Or after the first 4 margin calls, rather. That's after the first 5 buys, the robot begins to treat each subsequent buy as a separate buy, separate transaction, and it keeps selling once there's enough profit made on that last buy. So if it drops, for example, to 1.2694, assuming that was the 5th buy, it would sell at maybe 1.3 something, and then buy again at 1.26, sell at 1.3. If depending on how the price moves, if it drops below 1.26, it will buy at the next one, sell again at whatever price that one makes profit for, or at which that one makes profit. And then if it rises, if it starts rising again, it will sell the subsequent ones at each of those prices where they make profit, but it won't touch the first 5 buys. That's the first 4 margin calls. So in that sub-bin mode, it's until the price rises back above where I started from, maybe above 1.8 now, that it will sell. But then by buying and selling at those low prices, it can cancel out the floating losses from the initial buys, which makes a very good move. But when you want to close a trade completely, you need to switch back to whole warehouse mode. It has to be in whole warehouse mode so that you can keep averaging the price and thus reduce the cost price, and then you'll be able to sell earlier. Okay. So if you go to quantitative, that's where you get to apply your trade settings. Of course, you can still see the coins you're trading there, but you can see other coins, even the ones you're not trading. For example, I'm currently not trading BTC. I can see BTC there. So here you can arrange the list of coins by default or by volume. That's by the volume you yourself are trading now. That's what this volume is. For example, I currently have about 77 USDT committed to BAT and 69 USDT committed to GRT. So that's by volume. Same thing under professional. You can arrange by volume. You can arrange by price, with BTC being the highest here and REEF being the lowest in price. Current price 0.01805. The professional list too, there are such coins. Okay. So you can arrange from the highest to the lowest, or from the lowest to the highest. You can also arrange by percentage change in the last 24 hours. That's percentage change in price of that coin by itself in the last 24 hours. From highest to lowest and from lowest to highest. Also arranged by profit made or loss, floating losses. All right, current floating loss or floating profit. That's your own trade now. And then also the return rate, well, which is a bit similar actually, but the only difference is that when you talk about profit, it's in actual USDT. In return rate, it's percentage, but that's just your own trades. Okay, so you can explore the coins under the general list and the coins under the professional list. And in case your professional list is not yet activated, you go under mine and open profession, click on professional edition and switch. All right, so you can switch and open, but because I've already opened it, it's not asking me to take a quiz. Once you're opening it for the first time, it will ask you to take a quiz, and the answers to that quiz are quite simple. But even if you miss it, it will give you the right answers, and then you choose the right answers and pass and move on. Okay, so that's activating your professional list. So let's assume I want to set up a trade on one of these coins, and of course what I'm showing is just under Binance. You can switch to UOB, essentially the same list of coins actually. If I switch back to Binance, you'll see you see that it's the same list of coins. UOB 1 inch, it's actually the same list of coins. Okay, and then currently, if you've updated your application, you will see Coinbase Pro. If you've not yet updated it, you won't see that. But same list of coins ultimately, so you might not be missing anything if you're not trading on those other two exchanges. Okay, so to choose a coin and to set up strategy on that coin, of course, one of the things you need to first do is to look at how much capital you have and how much you want to commit to trading each coin, and that determines how many coins you'll be able to trade. And then how much you'll commit to each coin also depends on what strategy you want to use. If you're going to commit, for example, $100 to each coin, it will be because you're using a strategy that requires $100 to buy all the margin calls. So let's say I want to set up trade on 1 inch USDT. I can open it and go to trade setting. The first buying amount refers to how much USDT I want to use to buy the first time. In this case, 10 USDT. You can't go below 10 USDT because on Binance, the minimum amount you can use to buy a coin once is 10 USDT. Okay. Of course, usually it will not do exactly 10 because it depends on the product of multiplying the minimum number of units of that coin and the cost of that coin. It might do 10.1, 10.2, 10.5, sometimes 11 or even 12, but it can't be less than 10. So, but you just set 10, it will do its thing and buy the appropriate amount, the minimum possible amount, with not less than 10 USDT. Okay, then if you click on open position double, that means for every trade it's going to double the amount that you've imputed. So usually don't do that to cause some confusion unless you've gotten used to that already. The margin call limit is the number of times you want it to buy for you. So usually not less than 7 times, 6 to 7 times, but I prefer to use 10 times, depending on the strategy you're using, of course. But for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to use 7 times. I'll use my whole position take profit ratio. That means this the percentage at which you want it to take profit cannot be less than 1%. If you try to put 0.1, it will tell you that take profit ratio must not be less than 1%. See that? So it has to be at least 1%. Can be more than that. Can be, if you want, you can make it 10%. Nobody will fight you. But the smaller the better, so that the robot can take advantage of small moves in price, small changes in price, which is what the robot is all about, really. The whole position take profit callback. That means usually if you check here, okay, let me check one of the coins I'm currently trading. You'll see that the take profit trigger prices greater than 0.9716, not exactly 0.9716. So it won't sell at exactly 0.9716 because the robot does not create limit orders where once the prices start target, it sells on Binance. No, the robot watches out. Once it hits 0.9716, it allows it to keep going, but it places an order to sell once the price starts dropping back. So, but your settings is what determines how much of a drop the robot allows, and that's what this all position take profit callback is about. By putting 0.01%, I'm saying I'm allowing a 0.01% drop in price before the robot forcefully and quickly takes profit. So from 0.9716, for example, with XRP, the price may go up to like 0.99 before it starts dropping. The robot won't sell at 0.9716, so not sell at 0.99. But once it starts dropping from 0.99, maybe it drops to 0.989, it will quickly sell because I've placed whole position take profit callback at 0.01%. So whole position take profit callback should be a small fraction of your whole position take profit ratio. But I've noticed that anything less than 0.01 does not work. So you it's 0.01 and above, maybe even 0.1. I've only been exploring. Okay, so buying callback is a bit similar. That at the price at which it's supposed to buy, it will not buy. It will allow it to keep dropping. If it drops sufficiently, if it keeps dropping to a certain level and is about to start rising, buying callback determines how far the robot will allow it to rise before it quickly buys at that low price. Okay, so I usually just apply 0.01% for all of them. You can explore 0.1% too, or 0.05. Okay, so under margin configuration, this is where you actually determine at what percentage drop the robot buys some more coins for you and how much of the coin it buys again each time. Okay, so the multiple buying ratio is just how many multiples of the amount of USDT it bought with initially should the robot buy with again. So if you want it to keep buying another 10 USDT, 10 USDT, 10 USDT, you just put one time. That's the ratio. But if you want it, for example, at the next drop to buy 12 USDT, you're going to put 1.2. But assuming it was 15 you started with and you want it to buy maybe 30 USDT, you're going to put 2 because that's 2 times the 15 that you started with. So this can be so many things. Now there's a suggested strategy, and that automatically most times you'll see on the robot. If you click on get a suggested strategy, you see that it starts with 10 USDT, margin call limit is 7, whole position take profit ratio is 1.3, and so on and so forth. Now here, under margin configuration, it allows a 3.5, the suggested strategy, recommended strategy on the robot allows a 3.5% drop before the first call margin. Notice what I had there before was 5% drop. That's a different strategy. That's something I set up, but this is the recommended setting on the robot. 3.5% drop, it buys 2 times. And that 4% drop, it buys 4 times the initial value. But you will discover that if you use this strategy, you will need 2,550 USDT to trade each coin. Okay, so if you have that amount, yes, fantastic. It will trade one coin. All right, so if you have multiples of that, you can trade multiple coins. But if you don't have up to 2,550 USDT to trade each coin and you want to use maybe 100 USDT or 150, let me use 150 to trade a coin. I can still use this same margin call drop, the same ratios, 3.5% drop for the first one. If it drops under 4%, it buys some more. If it drops under 4.5%, it buys some more. If it drops under 5.2%, it buys some more, up till under 8, 10, and 12. The total of this is about 47.2%. So it allows it makes allowance for the possibility of a 47.2% drop and makes funds available to keep buying coins the more it drops. Now, in that case, let's assume I want to use 150 USDT. I've already used 10 USDT to buy the first time, so I have 140 left to split among these 7 buys. Likely to use 1.2, 1.4, 1.8 to Okay, maybe 1.6 here, and then 1.8. I've not calculated this, so let's just run with it and see. 2.2, 2.4. Of course, the more you can allocate as it drops, the better, the faster you can sell out, because the average price will drop much more significantly. But if you don't have more than 150, there's a limit to how much you can allocate to each one. Now, if you add all of this together, this 3.6 plus 3.6 plus 3.6, that's 10.8 plus 1.8, that's 12.6. That's 126 USDT. So I still have about 14 USDT, that's 1.4 to allocate somewhere here. So I can decide to make this 1.5 and make this 1.8 and make this 2.1, 2.4, 2.7 and 3.0. I know I've likely overshot what's it called, 140 USDT. So this 3.0 plus 1.2 is 4.2. The ones next to it are 4.2, 4.2. So that's 4.2 times 3, that's 12.6 plus 2.1, that's 14.7. Now I've overshot by 0.7, that's by 7 USDT. So this can work if I have 157 USDT to trade each coin. Fantastic. Just start with 10, then buy with under 12 USDT, under 15 I keep adding 333 thereafter. But if I don't have up to that, if I have exactly 150 USDT, I might just need to tweak the numbers a bit and remove 0.7 here and there. So I might remove 0.1 here, remove under 0.1 here. I have 0.5 left to remove. If I move under 0.1 here, under 0.1 here, there's 0.3 left to remove, under 0.1 here, 0.2 left to remove, 1.7, 1.35, 1.15. Okay, you can do 2 decimal points. If you add all of this together, you'll discover it's exactly 14. That's 140 USDT. 14 times what I started with, which is 10 USDT. So the 10 plus the 140, 150 USDT to trade this one coin, even if it keeps dropping in value down to 47.2% below where I started from. So if I started from $100 per coin, I mean 100 USDT worth of the 100 USDT price of that coin. Even if it drops as low as 53.5, 52.8 USDT in price, I'll have enough to still keep buying and reducing my average cost. Okay, so I can click on confirm. Like I said, I usually prefer to use a lower hope term callback, so I can maybe reduce this to 0.1 and 0.1. This has to do with sub-beam mode. Alright, so it's at what percentage you should take profit on the 5th, 6th and 7th buys, because after the first 4 margin calls, it will start doing sub-beam mode and buying and selling at those low prices. So at what percentage should it sell each subsequent one? I can make it the same thing as whatever I used here for all profit take position ratio, or I can make it less or more, my choice. Usually I prefer to limit this to not more than 1%, regardless of what I'm using here, so that I can keep buying and selling at those low prices very easily. So there too, I need to apply a callback. I can make it 0.1% or 0.01%, or depends, because at that level the chances of it dropping further higher. Okay, so I can save, and thus I've set up my strategy. So once that's trade setting, it's already set. If I'm using sub-beam mode, I'll click on this strategy mode and switch it to sub-beam mode real-time settlement. And then I can make this, I can click on cycle so that it keeps doing the buying and selling over and over again. If it's one shot, once it buys and it's able to sell, it will stop, it won't buy anymore. But in cycle, once it buys and sells, or buy, sell, once the selling is done, it will start again, another cycle, and start buying. So, but this changing it to one shot is useful when I want to close a trade, get out of the trade. Yeah. Okay. So I click on start and it begins to trade, but I'm not going to confirm because I don't want it to open this trade. Okay. And that's how to set up trades. So knowing that, for example, I've used 150 USD to set up one coin. If I have 1,500 USDT in my account, I can't trade more than 10 coins. So I'm going to set up trade on 10 coins. But before I end that, I just want to show you that you can also make settings for all the coins at a go by clicking on batch setting. If you click on batch setting and you click on all, you can make trade settings for everything at once and apply it across board and save, and to apply to every coin. That's what I did for all the coins I'm trading. It makes it easier, so you don't have to keep setting up trades on one coin at a time. And of course, here under quantitative, you can see the current balance of USDT in your Binance. Okay,